All right, let's talk about the architecture of conflict. We're going to peel back the layers, get past the official stories, and look at the brutal, cold mechanics of how wars are actually engineered.
Look, we've got to start by tearing down a massive myth. I'm talking about a lie so big, so pervasive, it shapes how pretty much all of us see every single global event. And that lie, it starts right here.
The lie is that war is an accident, a sudden, unexpected tragedy, right? Some escalation that just got out of control. Well, the source material we're looking at is brutally clear. That is a story manufactured for the public. The reality? Wars are prepared, years in advance, economically, politically, and maybe most importantly, psychologically.
So if it's not an accident, what is it? Simple. It's an enterprise. It's a business. War is a choice made by very specific people for very specific reasons. And let's be real, those reasons almost never have anything to do with freedom or values or ideology. That stuff, that's just the marketing.
So who are these architects then? It's not the soldiers on the ground, and it's definitely not you or me. No, it's a tiny intersection of groups. You've got politicians who desperately need a distraction, military leaders who need to justify their budgets, defense companies that need those sweet, sweet contracts, and, of course, the financial backers who profit from all the chaos. For them, war is a win-win-win.
And here's where you see this giant gap between the story they tell us and the story they tell themselves. The official narrative, the one on the news, it's always noble. We're protecting our security, our freedom, our values. But the real story, it's always about material gain. We're talking profit, control over resources, and yeah, distracting everybody from the problems right here at home.
This right here, this is the core of the financial engine. Think about it. War is the most efficient way ever invented to turn public money, your tax dollars, into private profit. Bombs, missiles, these are products. And for a business to thrive, its products have to be used. The companies selling them, they don't give a damn who wins. They just need the fighting to keep going.
Okay, so how is it actually done? I mean, how do you convince an entire population to pay for a war with their money and their lives? It's not just random chance. There's a playbook, a very clear, deliberate sequence of steps. It's a 3-act play. First, you create the villain. The media machine gets revved up to demonize a target, make them seem like an existential threat. Step 2, you provoke them. You hit them with sanctions. You run military exercises right on their border. You basically squeeze them until they have no choice but to react. And then step 3, this is the genius part, you take their reaction and you frame that as the start of the whole thing. It's a classic bait and switch. And just like that, the violence is justified and history gets rewritten on the fly. And this brings us to the most brutal, messed up part of the whole equation. This insane disconnect between the people who profit from war and the ones who pay the ultimate price. And this is the whole game right here. The people who decide to go to war are never on the battlefield. They are completely insulated from the consequences. Their kids are safe in private schools. Their stock portfolios are doing great. While they watch the chaos on some secure video feed, entire generations of other people's families are being wiped out on the ground. There's a term for this, outsourced suffering. It's a system designed from the ground up to make sure that all the pain, all the death, all the cost of war is felt exclusively by those with the least power. Meanwhile, all the gains, they flow straight to the top. It's the fundamental moral rot at the very core of this whole business. And please, don't think for a second this is some kind of accident. The very language used in war planning is meant to dehumanize people. It's done by design. Civilians aren't people anymore. They're collateral damage. An entire city isn't a home to millions. It's a strategic target. This isn't just bureaucratic jargon, you know? It's a psychological trick. It's a tool to make mass death sound acceptable. So the obvious question is, if war is so damn horrific, why don't we just stop? The answer, according to this analysis, is pretty chilling. It's because a world in constant conflict is actually way more useful to powerful interests than a world at peace. Think of instability as a tool, a very powerful tool. It lets you reshape borders, it lets you install governments that are friendly to your interests, it gives you a real-world laboratory to test out your brand new weapons.
And, maybe most importantly, it stops potential economic rivals from ever getting stable enough to actually challenge you. Because a nation stuck in conflict is a nation that will always be dependent.
So let's just boil it down to the crucial point. Peace is not the default state of the world. In fact, a lot of the time, it's actively resisted. Why? Because peace doesn't sell weapons. Peace doesn't let you expand your sphere of influence. Peace doesn't justify those massive intelligence budgets. Peace, to put it bluntly, is bad for business.
Look, once you understand this architecture, it changes everything. It gives you a totally new lens to look through when you see the next conflict pop up on the news. And it absolutely forces you to stop asking the one question you've been trained your whole life to ask.
We're all conditioned to ask the same old question. Who's right? Who are the good guys and who are the bad guys? We're supposed to pick a side. But that emotional framing, that's part of the trap. It gets us all arguing about morality, so we completely ignore the mechanics of what's really happening.
But if you really want to understand why a war is happening, there is only one question that matters. It's an old Roman question, cui bono, who benefits? Follow the money, follow the power, follow the contracts, because war is never an accident, it's a design. And the real question we should be asking is, who are the designers?